I mean, pound for pound, Conor Benn, no question. But up at middleweight, both guys can crack. I think this is a 6-round shootout. I think Conor Benn will come out in the opening bell and try and rip Eubank to pieces.
How are they going to be able to? They both.
Conor Benn can't control his emotions. No. He's joking.
He's going to have to try.
That's why he's going to be a thriller, because someone will get chinned, and it could be inside. It could be Hagler Hearn style, just absolutely going at it, and it'll be electric.
Who's going to get the edge for speed?
Conor, every day of the week.
Well, what's your prediction for it? Inside 6 rounds?
Inside 6 rounds.
What about a round prediction?
3 rounds. Fourth round, Conor Benn knockout.
As I said, my only prediction is I'd have originally said Conor, but I can't now because of his inactivity. So I've got to lean towards Chris.
Stoppage, points. I've heard a lot of people saying before 6 rounds.
I think regardless of whichever way the fight goes, I don't think it'll go the distance.
When Conor Benn charged at you on the pitch.
Honestly, a swear down, not at all.
Not at all?
Look at Eddie's reaction versus mine.
You did look chilled, I've got to be honest, because we just talked about your personality.
I think I stuck my hand out, which you would do, taking a step back, and was going to crack him. And then
I was going to crack him. You didn't stop smiling either, so you didn't flinch. And yeah, Eddie Hill did look worried.
Eddie turned round like the guy in the playground, like he always is, starts pointing and laughing. Anyway, it was funny. I enjoyed it.
I think Eubank might just have a little bit of edge. I just feel like Eubank.
I think his size?
Yeah, size difference. You know, he's a welterweight, he's a middleweight. But they've then also got the rehydration clause in that as well, haven't they? So that could play an effect. I think it's going to be interesting. I reckon Eubank edges it.
Opinion that
who wins and how?
I'm going Ben early, Eubank late. I struggle to pick a winner on points. So that
it'd be interesting to see what kind of Conor comes out, because I've seen him being really aggressive in the interviews and stuff, and Eubank's been really relaxed. I think that Eubank just could have the edge with a bit of boxing ability, just like staying on back foot, and if depending on Conor, if he's been inactive, and unless he really closes it, he might get emotionally overtaken. I'm leaning towards Eubank a minute.
Points.
Yeah. Asking me my opinion on who's going to win the fight, I think Conor Benn for me is the favourite, just because youth, power, speed, hungrier. He's got a brilliant team around him. I'm not sure who's training Eubank for this fight. He seems to switch training teams quite a lot. So I think for me, Conor's the favourite on paper.
Eubank's the bigger, the better, and beating with the better fighters, more ring craft. Conor Benn's unproven yet.
Points or stoppage?
If Conor Benn comes out, he says, I think.
Eubank Jr. has always had a good chin, but then he did get stopped. So he can be hurt, he can be stopped. And if Conor hits him, there's every chance he could stop him. But it's certainly a very, very intriguing one.
What's your prediction for it?
I fancy Conor.
I don't. I think I think Chris is leaps and bounds ahead of Conor. His experience, the guys he's been in with. Take away the weight, because Chris is obviously going to be disadvantaged in there with the weight as well. But just ability, boxing skill set.
But I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much.
No.
But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity, and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily.
Yeah.
And you just, it gets to it's an intense build-up. Like I said, I've been there.
Eubank says he'll retire if Ben beats him. Can you see where that thought process comes from? Obviously Conor stepping up 2 weights, the amount of bad blood there's been.
Yeah, maybe then you just don't know. Maybe where does he go from there if Conor beats him? I'm not trying to say Conor's any less of a, but yeah, Chris is obviously the guy who should beat him because he's a lot heavier, maybe more seasoned, but it's definitely a 50-50 fight in my eyes. I think Conor's going to beat him. So yeah, you can see where that thought process comes from. But you know, who knows? I know Chris likes to play poker a lot, so maybe comes.
Darren Till isn't buying Chris Eubank Jr.'s retirement threat. To him, it's either a desperate bluff or a dangerous truth. He warns that if Conor Benn pulls off the win, Eubank's pride and legacy could crumble beyond repair. Still, Till refuses to call this a sure thing for Eubank, labeling it a brutal 50-50 war. Benn's explosive power, he says, could flip the script in an instant and turn the ring into a nightmare. Till also questions whether Eubank's retirement talk is genuine, or just another mind game to hype the fight. But here's the twist. If Benn wins...
No proof in the pudding that says Conor Benn punches harder than me at 154. He's had 2 fights at 154 and has another knockdown, never mind anything else. So, yeah, if Conor wants to portray that and draw confidence from that and try and plant a seed in Chris's head, then so be it. But like I said, I'll stand on what I say. I've always been a better fighter than Conor Benn. I'm a better fighter than Conor Benn now. And
will Eubank really walk away or chase revenge once again? Meanwhile, Liam Smith isn't holding back. He tears into the narrative painting Conor Benn as a fearsome puncher, mocking the hype as smoke and mirrors. Smith points out that Benn has only had 2 fights at the higher weight, and neither made a real impact. In contrast, Smith's resume is filled with brutal battles against elite fighters, showcasing real grit at the highest level. He questions Benn's confidence, calling it forced and rooted in insecurity. What's more, Smith slams Benn's padded resume and wonders if he's even earned a shot at the sport's top names. Still, Smith isn't just dismissing Benn, he's asserting dominance. In his view, he's always been the better man. The real question is, when it's time to fight,
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's a bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great puncher.
Benn crumble under the spotlight or shock the world. On the flip side, Roy Jones Jr. is heating things up with his take. He calls the Eubank Jr. versus. Benn showdown a high-stakes chess match that could erupt into full-blown chaos. Jones leans toward Eubank for his size, ring IQ, and experience. But here's the catch. He sees Benn's raw power as a ticking time bomb. Jones warns Eubank can't afford to play it safe. The opening rounds, he says, will be pure war, and one mistake could mean lights out. He also shatters the myth of Eubank's invincibility, stressing that if Benn lands clean, everything changes. Still, Roy backs Eubank, but only if he's flawless from the first bell. The moment of truth is coming. Don't blink.